CEOs have been rethinking their global supply chain since 2020, which I think we forget in some of this conversation. If the math worked to bring supply chains back to the US, we would have already done it. All of those math and models were ran in 2021 and 2022 with that global supply chain shock. So a lot of factors were already in place and decisions have been made. Honestly, at this point, the news yesterday was not great. We like to say markets hate bad news, but they hate uncertainty more. We got a little bit of both yesterday. We got much worse news than we expected and a lot of uncertainty. We left the door open enough that maybe these will change. So most CEOs are still unfortunately waiting to learn more.
I think one challenge that executives have, and look, I'm not an executive making decisions about a supply chain, but as we just heard from Poonam, a lot of these companies spent many years moving out of China and moving into other countries like Vietnam during the first Trump administration. Now to be hit with blanket tariffs in every single country that they operate in, that they manufacture products in. What's an executive to do in a situation such as this? Is their only choice to either raise prices or move to the United States, which, as we know, for retail companies, could be easier said than done?
I think it's for all companies that it's very difficult to move back. I can't emphasize enough. Even if you made the decision that you wanted to move any sort of manufacturing back to the US, this is a multi-year, multi-million, sometimes into the billions-dollar decision. No board is making that kind of capital decision in the current environment of chaos that we have. Chaos has a cost, and that cost is manifesting itself in very slow decision making. Now, CEOs have lots of options, and most have been on this since last summer into last autumn. They are looking to kind of make a more robust supply chain. They're looking for changing some inputs. They're looking to do some different things in warehousing. You certainly have more options. This is not a binary choice, but any hope this will be that second boom back of American manufacturing, unfortunately, doesn't really understand the math and some of the complications behind what doing that would take.
But is it fair to say, I mean, the United States since World War II has really benefited, right, by helping in the rebuild, right, helping with so many different policies to get Europe back on its feet. And as a result, had a lot of leeway, right, in terms of its role in the world and what it got to do. But it also meant, a lot of opportunities too for its global companies. So I do wonder that the more closed off we get, the pushback, pullback on globalization. I mean, are we wrong to even say that there's a pullback on globalization? Because it certainly feels that way.
Every indication of what we've been talking about the last couple of months have been a push back from globalization. That is, though, a push from the administration. You are not getting that same push from publicly traded as well as private organizations. We have global supply chains, global customer bases, and global talent bases. So this push is an administration push. It's not coming from the leaders of our top companies. They are some scrambling, some a little bit ahead, trying to figure out what to do about this.
It makes me wonder about if we could see a change in policy from the administration. And look, nobody can read the mind of this president. We know how he feels about tariffs. He was open about that in his first term and also during this campaign. But given what we're seeing today, do you foresee any change in policy from this White House, or are these levies here for as long as his administration goes?
That's a really good question. And certainly myself and my colleagues don't try to make a business out of forecasting what this administration is going to do next. I try to focus on how executives can create value from it. It did really take away from yesterday that they were still leaving the table open for negotiations. So I think that's unfortunately what CEOs are sitting on this morning, that instead of getting news that they could actually start planning and forecasting around, it seems like maybe these will change as well. And we have the previous 2 months of tariffs coming on, going off, and deadlines changing. So even though we had news, I don't think it's enough that we can actually make decisions on. So I do think there is some room here. What we don't know if this was a come out strong to be a power play and a lot's going to be pulled back, or if they're going to stick with this at least through the midterm elections. Most executives are assuming this is going to be at least another 18 months through the midterms of this amount of volatility, and many are holding off on big decisions until then.
Rebecca, just 30 seconds. Are a lot of executives, do you think, at this point pulling in their teams and say, folks, let's get ready for a recession or something along those lines?
The R word is certainly coming up a lot more in the past 2 months than it had beforehand. But CEOs, I think, have built a lot more robustness in. And certainly the ones that I am talking to are really looking to make a change in growth strategy, to do other ways around it. For many organizations, I can't emphasize this enough, this changes the how, not the what. What they're trying to do to create value remains the same. This is tactically the need to change some things, and pricing will come in play. There's much bigger macroeconomic implications. We know the inflationary effects of this, but I don't see a big change in many strategies. This is a change in the how.